The text arrived while I was reviewing quarterly reports in my home office. The winter rain pattering against the windows like 1,000 tiny fingers tapping for attention. We've been talking, and we think it's best if you don't come to Christmas this year. Your negativity lately has been affecting everyone, especially your sister. We need a peaceful holiday. Maybe next year when you've worked through whatever this is. Mom. I stared at my phone, reading the message 3 times to make sure I wasn't hallucinating. The $25,000 wire transfer confirmation from 2 weeks ago still sat in my email inbox. The payment that had cleared out half my emergency fund to cover Mom's emergency gallbladder surgery when she'd called me sobbing about medical bills. My hands weren't shaking from hurt. They were steady with the kind of calm that comes right before you burn everything down. I pulled up my banking app and made a call that would change everything. Valley Regional Medical Center, Billing Department. Hi, this is Evelyn Morrison. I need to reverse a payment made 2 weeks ago. Account number 487329. Ma'am, that payment has already been processed and applied to the account. I understand. I'm disputing the charge. The payment was made under false pretenses. Please reverse it immediately and reinstate the original balance. I'll need to transfer you to my supervisor. 20 minutes later, it was done. The payment reversed. The bill's back in Mom's name. The consequences now hers to face. My phone exploded within an hour. First, Mom calling. I let it ring. Then Dad. Ignored. My sister Stephanie. Definitely ignored. Finally, Mom's voicemail shrieking. Evelyn Marie Morrison, what have you done? The hospital just called saying the payment was reversed. They're threatening collections. Call me back now. I didn't call back. Instead, I poured myself a glass of wine and thought about how we'd gotten here. It started 6 months ago when I'd finally gotten promoted to senior financial analyst at my firm. 6 years of grinding, working weekends, proving myself in a male-dominated field, and I'd finally made it. The salary bump was significant, enough that I could actually start saving, maybe even think about buying a house. Must be nice, Mom had said when I'd called to share the news. Some of us have real problems, but congratulations, I guess. That should have been my first warning. The comments had gotten worse from there. Every achievement was met with a backhanded compliment or outright dismissal. When I'd mentioned considering buying a condo, she'd laughed. Don't get ahead of yourself. Pride comes before a fall. But when she'd needed money, then I was her successful daughter. The surgery situation had unfolded like a predictable tragedy. Mom had been having stomach pains for months, but refused to see a doctor. It's just stress, she'd insisted, even as she grew paler and thinner. When the pain became unbearable and she finally went to the ER, it was emergency surgery or risk rupture. $25,000, she'd sobbed over the phone. We don't have that kind of money. Your father's insurance barely covers anything. And the deductible. Oh God, Evie, I don't know what we're going to do. I'd done what any daughter would do. I'd wired the money that same day, draining half my savings without hesitation. Family helps family, right? You're an angel, she'd said then. I don't know what we'd do without you. Apparently, what they'd do without me was have a more peaceful Christmas. The calls kept coming. I finally answered on day 2, but not to Mom. It was my Aunt Linda, Mom's sister. Evelyn, honey, what's this I hear about you canceling your mother's medical payment? Did she tell you she uninvited me from Christmas after I paid for her surgery? Silence. Then she what? Check your phone. I'll send you the screenshot. More silence after she read it. That doesn't sound right. There must be context. The context is that I've been bankrolling my family's emergencies for 3 years while being told I'm negative, difficult, and unwelcome. I'm done being their ATM who gets shut out when the transaction's complete. Evelyn, did you know about the car repair last year? $4,000. Dad's dental work? $6,000. Stephanie's DUI lawyer? $8,000. Every time I paid. Every time, they found a reason to criticize me weeks later. I didn't know. Because they don't advertise where the money comes from. Just like they won't advertise why they can't pay the medical bills now. I hung up and went back to my wine. By day 3, the extended family was involved. My phone buzzed with messages from cousins, aunts, family friends. The narrative was already being spun. Cruel Evelyn was letting her mother suffer over a silly Christmas dispute. I started a group text with screenshots, the payment confirmation, the uninvite message, and a spreadsheet I'd been keeping of every loan that was never repaid, every emergency that only I could solve. Total, $67,000 over 3 years. The family chat went silent. Then came the negotiation phase. Dad called, using his reasonable voice. The one he deployed when Mom had gone too far, but he needed to smooth things over. "Evie, sweetheart, your mother was emotional when she sent that text. You know how the holidays stress her out. She didn't mean it." "Which part didn't she mean, Dad? The part where my negativity affects everyone? Or the part where I'm not welcome at Christmas? You're always welcome. Her text says otherwise. Look, can't you just pay the bill? We'll sort out the Christmas thing later." No. Evie, it's your mother's health. Which I already paid for. Then she decided my money was good enough, but I wasn't. So now she can figure out her own payment plan. I'm done. You're being childish. I'm being logical. You don't get to take my money then ban me from family gatherings. That's not how relationships work. Family isn't a transaction. Funny how it only becomes a transaction when you need something from me. The truth was the negativity Mom complained about was me finally setting boundaries. 6 months ago, after my promotion, I'd started saying no. No, I couldn't lend Stephanie money for another failed business venture. No, I couldn't cover Mom and Dad's vacation because they'd overspent on the house renovation. No, I wasn't available to babysit every weekend so my sister could go out. "You've changed," Mom had said after I'd declined to pay for Stephanie's latest MLM startup. "Money's made you selfish." "Boundaries aren't selfish," I'd replied. "See? That negativity. That attitude. This isn't how we raised you." They'd raised me to be the responsible one, the fixer, the one who handled things. Stephanie was raised to be the fun one, the creative one, the one who needed help. The family ecosystem depended on me playing my role. But ecosystems collapse when one species evolves. Day 4 brought Stephanie to my doorstep. She'd driven 2 hours to confront me in person, her face puffy from crying or drinking or both. "How could you do this to Mom?" she demanded, pushing past me into my apartment. How could Mom uninvite me from Christmas after I saved her life? She was protecting me. "You've been so judgmental lately." "Judgmental? You mean because I wouldn't give you $10,000 for a MLM scheme?" "It's not a scheme. It's a business opportunity that you're too narrow-minded to understand. It's a pyramid scheme, Steph. Just like the last 3 opportunities I funded. See? That attitude right there. You think you're so much better than us now with your fancy job and your spreadsheets and your boundaries." I laughed. Actually laughed. I don't think I'm better. I think I'm tired. Tired of being the only adult in this family. Tired of paying for everyone's mistakes while being told I'm the problem. Mom could lose her house over this medical debt. Mom could have had insurance. Mom could have gone to the doctor months ago when it was manageable. Mom could have saved money instead of renovating a kitchen she didn't need. Mom made choices. Now she can deal with consequences. You're heartless. I'm broke because of this family. But sure, I'm heartless because I won't keep emptying my accounts for people who can't even stand to have me at Christmas dinner. She stormed out, but not before taking the bottle of wine I'd been saving for a special occasion. Of course, by week 2, things had escalated. Mom had worked out a payment plan with the hospital, but it meant no Christmas presents, no fancy dinner, no vacation planned for New Year's. The family was in uproar. "Evelyn ruined Christmas," was the rallying cry. I spent December 25th in Paris. First-class ticket, 5-star hotel, champagne breakfast overlooking the Eiffel Tower. I posted exactly 1 photo on social media, me toasting the camera with a glass of Dom Perignon captioned, "Merry Christmas to everyone who values my presence as much as my presence." The comments section exploded. Family members I hadn't heard from in years suddenly remembered I existed, all with opinions about my cruelty. But buried in the pile were messages from others. Cousins who'd been through similar situations, friends who'd watched me get drained year after year, even strangers who'd found strength in watching someone finally say enough. "Good for you," my cousin Janet wrote privately. "They did the same to me 10 years ago. I paid for Grandpa's funeral, then wasn't invited to the reception because I caused drama by asking to be repaid. Stay strong." The new year brought new tactics. Mom started a whisper campaign about my mental health issues, suggesting I'd had some kind of breakdown. Dad sent lengthy emails about forgiveness and family values. Stephanie posted passive-aggressive memes about toxic people who abandon family over money. I responded by hiring a financial advisor and putting the money I would have given them into index funds. The portfolio grew. My peace grew. The family's resentment grew. 3 months later, another crisis. Dad needed a new car. His transmission died, and without a vehicle, he couldn't get to work. The family group chat buzzed with solutions, all of which seemed to end with maybe Evelyn could. I watched the messages pile up, but didn't respond. Finally, Mom called. "I know you're still upset about Christmas," she began, her voice carefully modulated. "But your father needs help. Surely you won't let him lose his job over a misunderstanding." "Misunderstanding? You uninvited me from Christmas after I paid for your surgery. That's not a misunderstanding. That's a transaction. My money for your contempt." I apologized. "No, you didn't. You justified. You explained. You negotiated. But you never apologized." "Fine. I'm sorry. There, are you happy? Now will you help your father?" "No. No. Even with an apology? Because it's not an apology. It's another transaction. You're not sorry for hurting me. You're sorry you need my help again. This is ridiculous. Family helps family. Family includes family. You excluded me. Live with the consequences." Dad figured out public transportation. It took him 2 hours each way, but he kept his job. The family learned to solve problems without my checkbook. And I learned that boundaries aren't walls. They're the foundation for healthy relationships. 6 months after that Christmas text, I got another message from Mom. "We're having a family barbecue for Memorial Day. You're welcome to come if you can behave appropriately." I stared at it, waiting for the familiar rage to rise. Instead, I felt nothing. The woman who'd given birth to me had become a stranger, someone whose conditional love depended on my usefulness. I texted back, "Thank you for the invitation. I'll pass. Enjoy your barbecue." "You're really going to hold this grudge forever?" "I'm not holding a grudge. I'm holding a boundary. There's a difference. What will it take for you to forgive us?" "I forgave you months ago." Forgiveness doesn't mean returning to dysfunction. I love you, but I love myself too. And I deserve better than being valued only for what I can provide. You're breaking my heart. You broke mine first. But mine healed stronger. I blocked her number after that. And Dad's. And Stephanie's. Not out of anger, but out of preservation. You can't heal in the environment that made you sick. The family still talks about me, I'm sure. The ungrateful daughter who abandoned them over money. The selfish sister who chose wealth over family. The cold woman who let her mother suffer over a text message. They'll never understand that it wasn't about the money. It was about being seen as nothing more than a wallet with inconvenient feelings attached. It was about paying $25,000 to save someone who couldn't even save me a seat at the table. My bank account has recovered. My emergency fund is rebuilt stronger than before. But more importantly, my sense of self-worth is no longer tied to how much I can give to people who only take. I still get flying monkeys, distant relatives or family friends who try to guilt me into reconciliation. They tell me about Mom's health, Dad's struggles, Stephanie's latest crisis. They paint pictures of family gatherings I'm missing, memories I'm not making, relationships I'm destroying. You'll regret this when they're gone, they say. Maybe. But I'd regret more staying in relationships that only existed when I was useful. I'd regret more teaching them that my boundaries were negotiable, that my hurt was acceptable collateral damage for their comfort. I'd regret more being invited to Christmas not because I'm loved, but because the medical bills are paid and they need someone to fund next year's emergencies. The text that uninvited me from Christmas was the gift that kept on giving. It showed me exactly where I stood in their hierarchy of values. Good enough to pay for, not good enough to pay attention to. So I canceled everything. Not just the payment, but the lifetime subscription to their drama. The automatic renewal on guilt trips. The premium membership to dysfunction. And in the space where that toxic love used to live, I built something better. Friendships with people who value my presence and my presence equally. Relationships where support flows both ways. A chosen family that chooses me back every single day. Sometimes the best gift you can give yourself is the absence of people who only see your worth in dollar signs. Mom was right about one thing. I had changed. Money hadn't made me selfish. It had made me visible, and what I saw was a family that loved my resources more than they loved me. So this Christmas, while they gather around their table, struggling with bills but rich in their superiority, I'll be somewhere else. Somewhere I'm wanted for more than my wallet. Somewhere my negativity is recognized as self-respect. Somewhere I'm not just included but celebrated. And if that makes me the villain in their story, so be it. I'd rather be the villain who saved herself than the hero who died bankrupt. financially and emotionally, trying to save people who wouldn't even save her a seat at Christmas dinner. The payment was reversed. But the lesson? That's non-refundable. Thanks for watching. See you again in the next video. Stay stunned.